You know, it's almost like your birthday with a package from China, so let's go. Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's awesome that you're tuning in. So this video I want to do in dedication to all those weird Sega systems that I picked up in, let's say, AliExpress or China. And I can tell you there are a lot of different versions out there. So one of them, and just a quick overview, is this mini version. It looks kind of cool. And yeah, this is more like a portable idea with some power in and etc. Doing like an in-depth video about it. But also when it comes to this very expensive translucent, it's an original Sega device, but only comes in a completely redesigned PCB. And yeah, this thing was quite expensive. Had some, let's say, some different outputs, kind of cool. For example, one other cool thing is that we're having one with even the option with an HDMI plug and play. Yeah, and there's even a couple of versions out there. And that's the reason I want to do a quick overview of all kinds of different solutions. And are they worth buying? Nevertheless, oh man, there was so much to talk about, so let's start it. Let's go with fake Sega Bliss processing power. It's another Mega Drive / Genesis clone from AliExpress. I must say this thing comes in a very cool box, but the question remains, how good is the quality of the system itself, the controllers, and is this thing worth picking up? Because when it comes to, let's say, retro gaming, you just need to have like a good experience, and some of these systems have such a bad, let's say, performance when it comes to audio and visual part, that's absolutely not worth picking up. Okay, so the first impression is that we do get like a very nice high quality box, and I can tell you that is unique, because most of the time you're going to get this flimsy cardboard, and that is a good thing, let's put it that way. They're trying to put some effort in the device, like making it, but also like presenting it to you. Now the other thing is like, how do I get it out of the box? Ooh, this is like a very sharp cardboard, need to be very careful about it. Okay, so the form factor of the product, or better said the Mega Drive system, we have seen it before. Okay, so everything has been packed up very nicely. I personally forgot to put that thing back on. Already did a quick inspection before making this video. And okay, so the first thing is like the controllers are pretty damn good quality. And not like this real Sega Genesis quality, but just the way how it looks, smells and feels. Like the D-pad, it's more like the floating D-pad we have seen before. It's very, let's say, not very high D-pad. But another bad thing, I can really get used to it. Also the controllers, having with the cheap ones, when you're pressing one single button you can see all the other ones moving because they're connected somehow. Most of the time due of the membrane they're using or the cheap products. But this feels very legit, and also everything is just very nice. So it's very cool just to see like how good of in quality they're using with the controllers. So the system on the other hand, it looks way better. It is less of a quality / smell, like you have these very horrible smelly things that you're going to get, and I mean especially when you're looking at the freaking like plastic. There is no way of adding an attachment. Think about the, for example the Sega 32X or the Sega CD, so it's just a standalone device. So where we do have like the cheap wiggle button, this is slightly better. It also slides better, more like a click. You do get the reset over here. Also this feels way better. It's way better. And I must say, like when you're looking at the overall quality, I really like it. It comes with a very nice HDMI connection. We do have like an AV out, so for the people who just want to go old school for a CRT, input 5V with a micro USB, and here we have the switch for different regions. So in my opinion, this thing has everything that you're going to need. Fits in. Holy crap. Oh, that is really tight, and that is something I don't like, because if you need to pull them out, it's going to be a freaking nightmare. Alright, so let's boot up a multi-game card, because some of the system will have issues with it. Yep, it still happens sometimes, but it works like a charm. I tried a couple of games before, so it will boot up without any issue. Press the game and you can see it boots up without any issues. Okay, I want to do a quick test for the Chinese EverDrive, and it seems to be working just fine. And the same also applies to the Mega EverDrive. The original one from Crit works also very well. And the same works with the Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Works like a charm, but I can already hear that the sound is not like it should be. Ugh, that sounds kind of weird. Where a multi-card, and let's say a combination card works, and yeah, there are some issues with this fake Sega, and it's not with the game you would expect it would be a problem with, because when I'm booting it up with Xenocrisis, my language setting is just all freaking messed up. I tried the game like a couple of times. The game itself is not broken. I also don't have any audio. That's it. It's kind of weird, man. It's kind of weird. And it doesn't boot up the game. It just stays in the title screen. Holy crap. Okay, so I just needed to connect my other Retroid Sega Mega Drive clone, or my other Sega China stuff, console, or crap thing. Okay guys, so I just needed to show you this, like when I'm using it on a different fake console from China. In this case it's the Retroid, through AV Auto, with the same way of connecting it. It works like a charm. And when we're going to get a straight capture from the device itself, you can see it looks very nice. But I can say that when you're listening to the sound on the digital, it sounds quite good. And I mean, like, it is better, crisp and clear. But the sound is absolutely not like it should be when it comes to playing some Sega Mega Drive games. And of course Street of Rage 2 is a great example. You can hear like a lot of weird tunes going on in the soundtrack. So it's a bummer. Nothing beats the real original Sega Mega Drive. But always there is something they need to mess up. It's just a fact. But when you're looking at this quality and overall, I must say I was quite surprised. Not only the HDMI functionality and the image quality, but it is also like the way how they present it. A very nice quality box, comes with good controllers. So this is one of those best, and maybe almost one of my favorite ones. The only thing it's basically missing is the ND function, but of course you can just use an EverDrive and you have just yourself like one of those, I want to say ultimate Sega Mega Drives or Genesis, but it is a pretty damn good one. But don't believe everything that is on the box, because in this video you will see sometimes things are just a lie. But in overall, just also going to check out how good is the quality of the product itself, the console system, the plastic, and also the controller. And is this thing worth picking up? I just need to point out there are a couple of different versions out there. One of those indications is that we do have like the pink version here. We're just going to call it that because this pink version is different from the other one. For example, Retroid also sells one. And the question remains, how good is this one? Let's start with the controller. I'm just going to be honest, the wireless controller that comes with it is absolutely garbage. So when you're looking at this, like, do get the wiggle buttons, and yeah, they feel really cheap. The same with the D-pad. It's like the floating D-pad. This is absolutely not like the way you want to play. So it's great to give you wireless controllers, but these things are garbage, so you're not going to use it, I can tell you that. HDMI cable. We also have VGA and of course the power supply. It's an okay quality, 7.5 volts, so it's a quite weird, interesting power supply, because normally we have 5 or 9 volts. But let's take a close look at the system itself. Yeah, the system itself, so what can I tell about it? Like, it's almost the same mold like the original Mega Drive or Genesis 1, but it is not the same quality. You can already feel and hear it when using the on and off. And yeah, we do also have the slider for the headphone. I think it's pretty damn cool thing that they did this. The reset feels cheap. The dust cover feels okay. I really love the mold, but there's another thing. So if you want to use the attachment, think about the Mega Drive or Mega CD1. Yeah, so there is no way of using this. Another thing I wanted to try out in the future is trying to get the Master System, or yeah, the Master System. The 32X is going to be very difficult to connect, or I need to find connection cable. I mean like converters, because we don't have the DIN that we have, or the S-Video connection that we have with the original one. We only have again HDMI. Of course, if you want to use HDMI, there is no way of basically like connecting 32X, and even if it's going to be working. We have like the different region switch over here, so this thing basically has everything that you're going to need. HDMI, but also we do have like the region switch, so you don't have any modifications. audio jack at the front, and then we do have like the dual board at the back, or at the front, so having a brave right over here. But also we're going to open it up and seeing what are we going to find in the inside. Okay, so when you're looking at them side by side, you can see the casing looks very similar in many ways. Okay, there are some minor differences, like having the pink letters over here, 16-bit, in a way better and bigger font. I really like this, but this looks pretty awesome in my opinion. There is no decal of the official Sega, the old school 90s button switch, and the cheap China version. Oh. But if you're thinking, hey, let's get myself an HDMI version and connect it with my Sega CD, nope. They have the cover, but we don't have the connector. But let's take a close look at the back. Here we're having the switch where we can switch between the regions. I think it's pretty cool that it has it. HDMI connection, the AV out and the power in. And that's it. But okay guys, so this pink HD version, there were a couple of different versions out there. There was an old one, new one. I'm just going to be honest, I can't keep really track of it anymore because it's like a jungle of Sega clones. Is it a really good replacement of the original one? I think not. It does have like a lot of flaws, like a lot of, let's say, system from AliExpress. Let me know in the comments what you think of this. Would you like consider picking it up? Would you replace your original system with it? I swear I've reviewed all kinds of devices. This thing didn't even came in the box. I found it for a very expensive price, but I just need to pick it up just to see what it is. And I can tell you the first disappointing thing is the controller. I've paid, I think it was like over 40 freaking euros for it, and you can already see like the wiggling D-pad. Like it's a floating D-pad, but really like of the cheap ones. Like the buttons are absolutely like horrible. They're not like the worst quality I've seen, because when you're looking at some of the cheap controllers, when you're pressing one button, you basically see them all moving. That's not the case over here, so not like the really bad ones. But the other problem I'm having with this device is that we have like an USB controller connectivity. So this is not like you can hook up an original Sega controller. It comes with an HDMI cable and power supply, because this thing works on 5 volts. So it's absolutely weird looking, but also, yeah, kind of cheap. It doesn't look at all like anything that in Sega. It's just like a weird system they have created. Unfortunate thing is like my spring has been like defective with the dust cover. So this has been for a while now. So it's a little bit of a bummer. Maybe we can open it up, we can fix it, or yeah, I think this problem will always continue be coming back because it's just like really low quality. But I can tell you, this is maybe one of those weird, expensive ones, but it is a very particularly interesting one, because this is maybe just the ultimate device that you can pick up. And not only because of the cheap shell, because I wish they made like something better out of it, maybe like a cool Sega like knockoff system that looks absolutely like the original one. This thing has a lot of potential. So at the front, you're just going to get yourself like 2 USB ports, nothing really special. But here we're going to see the first interesting thing. It's the HDMI functionality. Oh. It stopped zooming in. Camera, zoom. But I might want to say, like, this thing does have HDMI, but it doesn't have AV out anymore. So we cannot use an old school CRT. Input, micro USB for power, but this thing also comes with a built-in EverDrive. Yep, you can add games. And this thing, let's see, comes with a 512 megabyte card. That's not a lot. But yeah, let's be honest, if you're going to add games to it, you don't need like something like 4 gigabyte. Or do we? Nevertheless, let's take a close look what's on the SD card, but also let's power this thing on and let's see what are we going to get. Because I think it's quite interesting. Because this thing even now It's old, it's very hard to find, but this is a device that has a lot of potential. Games. The question remains, of course, how good is it compatible with different cartridges? And how are we going to get them out? There is no eject button. We can just pull them out. I feel it's getting grip on the cartridge, so getting them out is not a very nice thing. It depends, of course, if you're going to play original games. Sometimes even with multi-game cards, there you just can't get them out anymore. So that is also a common problem with this version. I don't like it at all. Oh, damn, that is really tight. Okay guys, so everything has been connected, so let's boot it up. And I can tell you, like, of course I tested the system out before I did the review, and there is something you just need to see. So, do you remember the AdGames product they released, like the flashback? Guess again. They are ripping off the software, or kind of a version of it. It runs on Android, as you can see over there. Oh boy. So there's quite interesting development when it comes to this case and this stuff that is inside. We're going to do an opening up, tear down, but first let's take a close look at the menu, because look at this, it's exactly the same. System, now it only shows one game, it doesn't even see Sonic 3 at all, but you can see that it doesn't work at all. So, it's a bummer, if you ask me. So quickly I wanted to try out a multi-game card that is an official one, and the weird thing is, like, look at this, it loads up the menu, game 1, game 2, game 3. So I'm guessing this is Street of Rage, so let's boot that one up. Let's see if it boot up. Okay, it gets into menu. Okay, so let's see if I can play this original multi-game card. Ah, it seems to be working. Let's play the game and let's see how it sounds. Don't press the power button, don't press the power button. Okay. But you can, some of these games, even official multi-game cards, can work on it. But you can kind of get like different files that you need to choose from. What a weird situation. You would expect, like with the first Chinese multi-game card, you're going to get one file because he's dumping the file or the ROM itself, but it's kind of a weird situation. The D-pad itself is not bad at all. Okay, so this is another weird thing. So I loaded up a homebrew game, just a normal game, no multi-game card stuff. And here again we're going to get two different files. So it's just a big mess, if you ask me, when it comes to loading up cartridges. It's a fun idea, but in the end it's not the way how it should be working. Like, what the hell's going on, man? Alright, let's see. Yep, Sonic's getting fluffy, so it seems to be working. Ah! Ah, crap, I can't move anymore. Ah! Alright, so let's try the first game, Mega Drive game from the TF slot, which you can use as instant load, no problem whatsoever. And so far I can hear that the sound itself is not bad at all. All the sound effects are here. Another interesting option, that this device has the possibility to play Sega Game Gear games. It does sound like crap, because it sounds all turbo mode. Holy crap. See, and this is the point that I mean with these Chinese products. They add something and they completely messed it up, because this is not how it should sound. Turbo Sonic Health mode. Okay guys, so a straight capture from the device itself, and let's do the sound test. Alright guys, so what I noticed is that the sound is not 100% accurate, but it's getting really close. So let's try the scanline filter and how will this look and how will the game perform, because I noticed that the game, it tends to lag here and there if you're looking very closely. And when you're thinking some games sound very well, when you compare it with the original soundtrack, it sounds completely messed up. I think it's a very interesting device, maybe one of the best ones so far. Not for the controllers, but particularly for the software. It's just more like an ad game system, or that's what I think of it. Because when you're looking at the last released ad games product, this thing had like a lot of cool features, like rewind, you can add games, you name it. This thing does have like a lot of potential. Unfortunate, we're only having like a USB weird cheap controller. That's maybe the downside. And for the money, it's a little bit overpriced. Let me know in the comments what do you think of this. Okay, so there are many different ways to play, that's a fact. But most of these systems don't come even close to the original one. There's only one particular one that came close, and that is this particular version. Yeah, but paying over $200 for this is just a pure crazy novelty if you want to collect. No Sega CD add-on, and yeah, the 32X, I can try to do a separate video about it. Would not be surprised that it actually works. But yeah, because this thing is an original Sega chip and that it will communicate with the 32X, but it's not going to be a fancy thing to look at because the case is completely redesigned. So you know, when it comes to these Sega clone things, it's absolutely one hot mess, or they're like super expensive, or they don't sound like crap. Yeah, where I think this retro version is still one of the best ones because you actually have an option for HDMI. Yeah, let me know in the comments. Do you like one of those things? Or do you prefer to have the original Sega Blast processing power from the past? And it would be great to see you in the next video.